there were a few people that were, you know, doing pills, and then there was tons of kids that smoked before the dance, and it's kind of like with the drug war. I mean, you take out one issue and it creates 10 more. I felt like they were treating everybody as if they were criminals. There was nobody who was seen as being under the influence. It was just they assumed that everybody there was inebriated.
A pair of students were denied entry to their prom because they said the required breathalyzer tests were a violation of their constitutional rights. It's an incident. It's been getting a lot of attention. Joining me now
at the junior prom of 2013, the Housatonic Valley Regional High School Administration took its first steps against teen drinking at school-sponsored events. For the first time, students seeking admittance to the dance were subject to a breathalyzer test. That fall, a revised handbook was distributed to students and parents with a new policy annexed, the breathalyzer policy. Response was mixed, with supporters calling it an important tool towards ensuring student safety and critics asking if their personal privacy had been invaded. With so many unanswered questions, we turned to the people familiar with the policy or familiar with the use of breathalyzers. Interim Principal Ian Strever, Interim Assistant Principal Liam O'Reilly, recently appointed board chair member Andrea Downs, an ACLU member, and a Torrington police officer.
The ultimate goal of using the breathalyzer at school dances is really just to be a deterrent so that it encourages students to make the right decisions.
The ultimate goal of using the breathalyzer at school dances is to deter students from the use of alcohol before a dance.
I did feel as a whole that more students were safe.
It's a good thing. I mean, it could save a teenager's life from getting behind the wheel of a car, maybe getting into a crash or killing themselves or somebody else.
The breathalyzer policy was created in the spring of 2013. It requires that all students participating in the activity or school-sponsored event are asked to submit to a PAS, passive alcohol sensor screening.
High school's breathalyzer policy came about essentially by looking at some of what we saw happening at other schools, which was that a lot of schools saw this new technology that was helping them to ensure that dances were safe and that students were coming sober and attending those in a safe and sober state of being.
We were instrumental in creating the policy, and we need to support the faculty when they have to enforce this policy. We need to stand behind them.
Students from Housatonic offered a wide variety of responses to the new policy.
I think it's more invasive than it needs to be, and I don't think it actually gets the job done as well as it's intended to.
I don't really see why the breathalyzer should be a problem. It's not really that intrusive.
It kind of takes away from people that are hosting the dance because a lot of people don't want to go because of getting breathalyzed.
I think the breathalyzer policy, it's a good thing that we don't have drunk people going to the dances and getting too turned up.
The policy has been effective as a deterrent more than anything. I think students know that when they come to the dance they can expect to be breathalyzed, and therefore they refrain from drinking in advance of the dance.
In my opinion, the policy has been effective in deterring students from coming in to school events, specifically dances, under the influence of alcohol. However, there's limits to using a breathalyzer. One, students may come in under the influence of something other than alcohol, and the breathalyzer will not detect it.
It was very clear that there were numerous spelling and grammatical errors. Here are a few of the most glaring mistakes. In many regards, the policy has been a success. But what are some of the flaws?
Kids still snuck things into the dance. I know a few girls that were drunk, and I talked to them and it was pretty clear.
This brings us to limitations of the policy, which, according to students we spoke to, certainly do exist.
They're gonna drink if they want to drink. You're not gonna stop them. So you're just not letting them go to a dance. So instead of getting drunk at a dance, they're gonna get drunk at home.
Everyone knows dances aren't fun unless there's something involved. So I snuck alcohol in. I mean, it wasn't hard at all. I wasn't drunk going into the dance, so obviously there was no reason to deny me.
They just shouldn't have one, and if they can see that somebody's drunk, then breathalyze them, but not everybody before the dance.
You see students walk in with bloodshot eyes. That's certainly reasonable suspicion. Then they can be subjected to a breathalyzer test. Or, students who are behaving erratically, or, students whose breath clearly indicates that they've consumed alcohol. These are all instances that are easily detectable, and the best ways to prevent this kind of behavior. If schools want to take strong action, they can take strong action when they find these examples of reasonable suspicion. We feel that there are other means of being able to deter and prevent alcohol abuse or alcohol consumption at proms that don't require the sacrifice of individual rights and privacy.
After student reports that the breathalyzer was producing false positives, we tried testing its accuracy.
The breathalyzer is a more immediate means of safety in a way, and the assembly kind of has more of like a long-lasting effect.
I think that assemblies like these are good. I don't know if I'd say more effective, but I think that it's good because it gives students information rather than just making a rule.
I also liked having this before prom, other than just like coming to prom and getting breathalyzed, which is really nice because it's sort of like a preparatory thing, and it reminds you to make good decisions before and after and during, instead of just like when you get there like, oh crap, I need to do something about my drunkenness, which isn't gonna happen because we're all good kids.
The best means of encouraging safety at student dances is to teach responsible decision making, such as we discuss in health class, and really in a lot of our classes, English classes. It can sometimes be a topic too that comes up in the course of discussion. And I think those sorts of educational experiences do more to change behaviors over the long term than a simple policy or a simple machine. To subject the vast majority of students who are not engaging in this behavior to basically turn the whole notion of American justice on its head by no longer saying you're innocent until proven guilty, but instead you're guilty until proven innocent, and that's what these breathalyzer tests are doing.